Testing. All right. I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to get into it. You know what? Okay. All right. Second countdown of the day, chapter 25, Biblical Laws of Success. Here we go. Any day now. There we go. All right, guys. Give me 1 second. We're just going to get the sound tested out here. New stuff we're working with. So, either way, I am excited. And all right, we're in business. What's up, guys? This is David Many, Big Money Many at the Big Money Many channel. This is our book club. Getting very close to wrapping up the 25 Biblical Laws of Success. And today is a special day. We do have a couple more chapters to go through. Like I said, we're wrapping it up. In a couple days, it's going to be done. It's been a couple days since I've done the last chapter, which was the Law of Employability. We're going to kind of wrap that up as we, kind of revisit that as we go into the Law of Sowing, the last biblical law that we are going to cover in this book, the 25 Biblical Laws of Success. And I just lost my spot, but we're going to get back into it. So we left off with the Law of Employability. And with the Law of Employability was simply wrapping up all the chapters that we've covered here so far. And we've covered some bombshell chapters with awesome nuggets to learn from. And, again, these writers, judges, teachers, and federal auditors, accountants who are Christian, found a lot of success, and put together this book, William Douglas and Rubens Teixeira, the two authors of this book. And they just left us with a whole lot to cover. I'm so glad that I started this channel to where we can break this book down, read through it, and learn. It's an awesome thing to get into this habit of this hobby, this habit, this whatever you want to call it. But reading does so much for you. It's done so much for me. It's helped me a lot. Me, an imperfect person. Me, a person who struggles with things in certain aspects of my life, just as we all do. But reading, I'm telling you guys, is working wonders. And I'm just so blessed to be reading this book, and so blessed to have what I have now, so I can share this information with you guys. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to go on this journey. And as I was reading this chapter, I had this study music that I play in the background of my videos, and I was playing it while I was studying or while I was reading this book, and it was kind of getting me emotional. I was like, man, we're wrapping it up, man. It's kind of like when you go through your school years, right? And school is fun for me, not all the time, but mostly fun. And when it gets to the end of the year, I always get that weird sad feeling. That sad feeling where it's just like, man, summer's about to be here. Yeah, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna have time off, but there's certain, I don't know about you, but there's times where maybe the friends that you made in ninth grade, not all of them stay close to you by the time you come around again for the 10th grade. Some of them are still close to you. Some of them are like, hey, how's it going? It's, how was your summer? If you guys didn't keep in touch, this is before cell phones and social media and all that kind of stuff. And so I didn't live close to my school. And so there was friends, not too many friends lived in my area. But then 10th grade, there's some people that just, you're not so close anymore. It's kind of one of those things, man. Every time I felt I get to the end of the school year, there's kind of a sadness to it, a bittersweetness to it. Anyways, rambling on, but chapter 25, oh man, this is an awesome way to wrap up this book, guys. Uh, this is the last chapter of part 5 of this book. Part 5 are the laws concerning relationship. Okay, so um, okay, so 25 biblical laws of success. Part 5 covered the laws of personal growth. Chapter 21 was gratitude. Chapter 22, generosity. Both of those two very emotional chapters. Chapter 3 was contentment. And chapter 24, employability, which we covered 2 days ago. The application of all of the chapters that we've covered throughout this book. And then now we are here today with chapter 25, the law of sowing. And we're going to, of course, as we always do, start off with the Bible verse. Oh, by the way, the law of employability, there was a couple lists of these concepts right here, and I didn't feel like reading them all off, so I did post them on the Big Money Many page. You're welcome to go through that. It lists a bunch of skills that you need today in the workforce, and also, as a business owner or as a leader in general, whether you're leading a church or an organization or whatever it is that you're involved in. There are success tactics that are mentioned throughout the Bible. It's just the language is a little different. And so what these writers did was they summed it all up in this list, which is pretty much like a cheat sheet of this entire book that we just read. And I took photos of it and I posted it on the page before I started reading this chapter a couple hours ago. So, and it finishes off employability saying luck, right? That instead of having luck, you much rather prepare yourself to meet success, right? And so 25, the last part of chapter 5 right here, guys. And then chapter 6, or part 6, is the final uh chapters. I don't know if there's 5 or 6 chapters in there, but it is the last part of this book. And so here we are, the law of sowing. Okay, so first of all, the law of sowing has been mentioned throughout this book, right? There was a few chapters that brought up the law of sowing, and it said that we're going to cover certain things in this. As a matter of fact, we're going to recap throughout this book, just this chapter right here, the law of love, the law of wisdom, employability, of course, and a couple others, I believe. But starting off with Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, it says, a man reaps what he sows. Okay? I'm going to slow down a little bit because this chapter is so very important to anybody, everybody. And it's not just those of us who are religious or, uh, into into whatever your faith is. It's to anybody. And as a matter of fact, we're going to cover that too. It says, so we end our list of biblical laws with the law of sowing, because just like the law of employability, this law is a good way of summarizing all of the biblical laws that we have covered. The law of employability boils down to your personal qualities. All right, so employability talks about all, the chapters that we've covered here, but it broke it down into 10 attributes. And it said out of those 10 attributes, there's really 3 that you want to master, that you must have, and that is being a hard worker, being competent, and being honest. You must have those 3. In other words, energy, intelligence, and integrity. And then the other 7 can be a combination of whichever. You don't need them all, but you need some of them, and you need to mesh them together in order to reach success. And it comes down to just how we read right now, to your personal qualities. All right, so whichever of those factors work for you according to your personality, because you're different than I am. I see things different than you do. We operate different. Yes, we are part of the body, but we are different members of the body. And that's, and that concept right there, of the body, is going to be mentioned here throughout this chapter right here that we're going to read. But the law of employability boils down to your personal qualities, right? To what you see valuable and what you see important in the workplace. But it says here, the law of sowing encompasses the logic of how success works, right? So the law of sowing has a lot to do with your mindset, and we're going to cover some very touchy subjects here today. Everyone recognizes that, generally speaking, the right attitudes create positive effects, while wrong and bad attitudes create negative effects. When you observe reality, you see this played out. As a rule, working leads to benefits, while sneakiness leads to problems, and so on. If you are in my sort of business, I'm in financial services, you will find this to be very, very true. In fact, if you're in business at all, or even if you have a job, it says here, working the leads. Working the leads will get you the benefits, while sneakiness, right, shortcuts, will lead to problems, and so on. The fact that that religious, the fact that religions recommend correct attitude may lead people to assume that proper conduct is strictly a religious issue, but it isn't. Religions may talk about heaven, hell, redemption, and so on and so forth, but this isn't our objective in this book. Our focus is success. And from the intellectual and logical point of view, positive results are not the privilege of only those who have faith, but also those who abide by the values that lead to success. From a practical point of view, an atheist who obeys the biblical laws of success will enjoy much more professional respect than a religious person who doesn't obey these laws. Wow. It says here the laws of success do not discriminate. That's huge. Okay. I left a bunch of notes here, but I skipped them right through. But I did highlight this sentence right here. Success does not discriminate, guys. That's a huge statement right there. Okay, so the law of sowing is also called the law of cause and effect. We reap what we sow. The law of success says that everything you do comes back to you. All sources of human knowledge says this, including religion, philosophy, chemistry, and biology, traditional physics, Newton's law, even quantum physics. They cannot all be wrong. At the end of the day, what you do comes back to you like a boomerang. We stop there because there's a lot to cover right there. See, we started off the book talking about the law of wisdom, uh, and that you got to know which seeds to plant. Not all opportunities are good opportunity. Not all avenues are the right path. Um, Not every opportunity that comes your way is guaranteeing you success. It just doesn't work like that. And it says here that when you follow the laws of success, as we're listed in this book, you will find success. But it says here that the laws of success do not discriminate. See, there's a huge issue right now going on today where there's a lot of people that feel that because of certain attributes that they possess, that success just doesn't come to them. And I don't find that to be true. What I do find to be true is that if you do the work, you will find the money, you will find success, you will find your freedom if you do the work. It doesn't just come by to those who, um, their stars are lined up right. They're born on the right side of the tracks. They just they come from the right. They have the right last name. They come from the right culture. It doesn't work like that. It says, and we covered this very early in the book. That yes, there are some people out there who have it easier than you, but that doesn't mean that you just don't have a shot. That's not true at all. We all have a shot. It's just we have to go out there and find the opportunities. Success does not discriminate. It's not just stored up for certain people. It rewards those who follow the rules. And just how we just read right here, the law of sowing is also called the law of cause and effect. So success will come based on your actions and your decisions, not by anything else. And maybe though, there are people who do find some success, right? Sorry about the background noise. There's some people that will find success due to whatever circumstance, XYZ. But that right there is not long lived. There's no longevity to it. It doesn't last. And there definitely is no growth that comes from easy success. So if anybody does find easy success, hey, more power to you. God bless you. I'm happy for you. But you better change to keep it. You know what I mean? Just because you were good enough to get it, but you're not good enough to keep it. Uh, as we've all seen, where there's people that will say that if only I had $1 million, I'd do this. If only I would have, if I can get like 500 grand just to get started, man, I'd take care of this, and that. And, they got all these plans lined up for that money. But as soon as a lump sum comes into their bank account, that money is good as gone, right? Because they didn't grow with the advantage. They didn't grow with the increase. And so because they didn't grow, uh, they lose it, right? The law of, it's not one of the laws, but it's one of the parables that are mentioned in the Bible when it talks about the wine being placed into old wineskins, right? You got to have the new wineskin to contain the blessing. So we got to change. It says here, all these things that mention how success, um, the law of success says that everything you do comes back to you, mentioned in religion, philosophy, chemistry, biology, traditional physics, Newton's law, and even quantum physics. It says they can't all be wrong. At the end of the day, what you do comes back to you like a boomerang. In fact, what you do will come back many times over. So there's multiplication involved here in this giving, this comeback of what you put out. Life works like a boomerang, but one with multiplication powers. When you plant a single seed of fruit, you will reap much fruit in the future. Wow. How awesome is that? It says not only will what you put out there come back to you, but it'll come back in multiples. I believe that. See, we're talking about sowing seeds here. That's why I got that background up there, because with the Bible, many times when it talks about life's situations and life's lessons, when Jesus taught a lot of lessons, a lot of people here in the Bible mention farming. Farming is one of the biggest, most well known, and most used examples from the Bible to teach us success, to teach us how to win, right? It talks about farming. And why? Because it's so applicable, it's so relevant, it just matches up perfectly. And he uses these examples, and that's why we're talking about a seed here. It says, when you plant a single seed of a fruit, you will reap much fruit in the future. I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's so true. Plant a potato. I have a few plants that I'm working on in the backyard, and they've definitely taught me some stuff. I'm learning as I go. But plant a potato. One potato will yield you a couple, a dozen or so. About 18, maybe a dozen and a half potatoes, right? From one, right? Same thing with you plant a seed that came from a fruit, and you get a plant or a tree that'll yield much more fruit. We're talking multiples. I love how God works that way. It says here also, if you let a virus in, it will multiply into millions. But it says you are at the liberty to sow or not to sow, and you can choose what to sow, and you are a slave to your choices. Whew. You are a slave to your choices, right? We're talking about multiple fruit here. You are at the liberty. Let me put that down. He says you are at the liberty to sow or not to sow. If you want something, sow something, right? You'll get your reward, and you'll get it in multiples. But it says here, um, you are a slave to your choices. So when you want to sit there and talk about why it is that things haven't worked out for you, they haven't panned out for you, hey, you are a slave to your choices. There's nothing more that you can't compete, you can't combat with that. You can't. Because when it basically comes down to it, it's up to you and I, for you and I to be successful. Yes, God is in a blessing business, but it's up to you and I to get the work done. Right? It says here, you are at the liberty. You are a slave to your choices. That's huge. You will reap what you sow, at least until the day that you decide to start planting other types of seeds. So whatever you put out, you will get in return until you decide, I'm gonna stop planting this and I'm gonna start working on this. Right? You got to change what you plant. Many religions look into a negative look at this as a negative principle, and they say, do not do unto others what you wouldn't like for them to do unto you. This is a good start, but because you have to do to others, this is a good start because what you do to others will come back to you one day. If you don't do evil, it won't come back to you. As we discussed earlier, Jesus took this principle, right? He took this principle. Where are we at? Right here, the golden rule of Jesus Christ. Jesus took this principle into the positive field of assertiveness and action in his golden rule, which says that you should do unto others which you desire to be done unto you, according to Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. You don't just stand there stagnating, waiting for things to happen. Start the ball rolling right away. This is how the law of sowing becomes active, proactive, and a creator of change. Treat your neighbors as well as you would like for them to treat you. If that is your intent, you certainly won't gossip about them, take advantage of them, delay paying them for a debt that is owed, or swindle in some sort of transaction. If you exploit your neighbor in any way, then you will pay for this behavior down the road. Right. Madeline Langle says that love isn't it isn't how you feel, it's what you do. Right. It says do good, and by it you will be loving your neighbor. Whether a relative, friend, business partner, or consumer, the law of sowing combined with the law of love is an irresistible force. Nice. The Bible says that a faithful person will be richly blessed, according to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 20. This is true both in the religious sense and on the secular plane. A faithful person a faithful person may be one who is faithful to God, but whoever he is faithful to his employer or to a client, he shall also be rewarded for providing good work or good quality of product or service. This is more than one. There is more than one dimension to these biblical concepts. They have multiple applications. Look at another example. If you are faithful to your spouse, you will be rewarded. Regardless of any other benefit to your faithfulness, at least you will not have to deal with the pressures of secret relationships or being caught in the act of adultery. Even the airlines reward those who are faithful to them. Your fidelity is appreciated and rewarded with prizes. Imagine the rewards for fidelity in the important things of life. A single biblical text can often be applied in many ways. What is certain here is that someone who is faithful to someone or something will be richly rewarded. The law of sowing applies to every area of life. Everything you do will come back to you multiplied many times over. Therefore, do good deeds. Be wise, work hard, stay honest, and love your neighbor, and your professional life will be a success. Awesome. So, what happens when the law of sowing doesn't work? How many of you have been there? How many of you are there right now where you've been sowing, you've been praying, you've been tithing, you've been, you know, doing the Lord's work, you've been spending time with God, you've been meditating on His Word, and it just hasn't panned out. All right, there's a lot of people right now who have been praying for things, and working at it and trying to get it going, right? Trying to build it. And for some reason, it just hasn't worked out. And you're sitting there like, okay, God, I mean, I know you're in the blessing business, but what's up? Like, what am I doing wrong? I've been sowing. I'm waiting for the harvest. I'm waiting for the reaping. What's going on? Right. And I think a lot of people turn away from God at this point. A lot of people get frustrated and, they take it out on God. They take it out on the church and they say, it doesn't work. That thing doesn't work. They shut down their business. They give up on themselves. They just let it go. They just drop their dreams and goals, whatever it is. And they just said, no, it doesn't work. Right. So this here, I'm gonna try to mute it. My kid had some dental work done today, so she's rolling around in her sleep and getting a little upset. But I'm gonna try to mute it when that goes on. But what happens when the law of sowing does not work? Check this out. It says here, time and chance happen to tell them all. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. Some people question the applicability of the law of sowing, alleging that there are those who sow and do not reap. Let's discuss the two possibilities why this might not be working out for you. All right, number one, poor or incomplete sowing. Okay, so sowing is a process, guys. Sowing is a process, right? Say it to yourself. Sowing is a process. There's no such thing as a seed. See, like you see this plant right here that this girl got up in her hand in that soil right there. She didn't just pluck a seed into that dirt and then all of a sudden something just sprouted up out of the ground. It doesn't work that way, right? It takes time. There's a process. The seeds have to germinate. I'm not going to use the technological terms. I might have it wrong, but pretty much they've got to take root. They have, there's a stem that comes out of that seed. There's a root that comes out of that seed. And then they form the base of that plant. And then later on, the plant it emerges out into the sun and opens up its leaves and starts to take in the sunlight, right? And carbon dioxide, right? And it starts going to work, living, breathing, right? But it's a process. See here, poor or incomplete sowing. Sowing is a process, and it doesn't end with the actual sowing part, right? So when you put the seed in the ground, you've sowed in the seed, but that's not all there is to it. There's more work. You got to follow up, right? And it says here, it doesn't end with the actual sowing, but requires follow up. Those who sow must keep at it until the harvest. Those who sow must keep at it until the harvest, which generally takes a while. Those of you who fail, let's stop right there. Those who sow must keep at it until the harvest, meaning don't give up. If you want to get rich, you start a business and it doesn't work, it doesn't pan out. Maybe you lose money in the first couple of months. Don't give up on it. Keep at it. Keep going. Right? You got to keep going. See, some of you are going to, most of you are going to raise kids, right? And, just because the kid does something wrong, that doesn't mean you just be like, oh, I'm done with you. Like, really? That's it. I can't do it. I can't raise you. It just doesn't work out. Let me tell you, raising a kid is one failure after another. Raising a kid is one disappointment after another. You just deal with it because you love them. and they're just adorable. But it's not easy raising a kid, especially today. And I know our parents said it when we were young, like, oh, these days kids here and this and that. Now here we are saying it. These days our kids, we didn't have social media. We didn't have all that TikTok stuff and all that. Look, sowing is a process, And it says here, don't stop until the harvest. If you can just implement that concept to your the way you function, your functionality, right? The way you process things, that I'm not going to stop until I harvest. I'm just going to keep sowing, keep going, keep trucking, keep doing it until I find the results, until I harvest what I wanted, right? Those who sow must keep at it until the harvest, which generally takes a while. That's something we got to take to heart. That's something we got to remind ourselves. It takes a while sometimes to get what you want, to find success. It takes a while. I've been in business going on 8 years now, and I haven't found the success that I thought I would have had in year 3 or 4. But that doesn't mean I hang up my boots and say, well, that was a waste. No, I keep going. I press on. I press forward. I keep going and say, you know what, God, let's do this. I'm ready to sow more seeds. I'm ready to get back to it. I'm ready to keep going, right? So you got to keep going until the harvest, and it generally takes a while. Those who sow but fail to take care of the plantation may not have anything to reap. Poor or incomplete sowing is the topic right now. And it's saying that those of you who've sown, you already done the work, you planted the seed, but you didn't take care of the plantation, you might not have anything to reap. Let me tell you something. I'm in a business where our job is to train up the next individual. And yes, there's hardship and heartache that comes along with it, because sometimes you get people in your business and you just feel so strongly about them. You just say, man, if I could just get you to come up to this level, you will take off. You will be successful. You're going to be something big in this business. And then, they don't have the means to get started. And so what do? You invest in them. You invest in them. You say, you know what? That's not a problem. Let me help you take care of that, and let's get you going. I want to get your foot in the door. I want to get your application in. I want to get you started. I want to invest in you, get you going so that, if I get you going, I'm going to benefit. I'm going to make that money back. I don't care. This is just a temporary investment from me, but I'm investing in you. And what happens is a lot of times we invest in the people, and then that person, they go and they just blow this whole opportunity off. They don't give it any kind of effort. They don't spend the time to, what does it say here? To take care of the plantation. And if they don't take care of the plantation, they don't take care of the land. And I believe they mentioned it in Psalms, and also Paul mentioned something of it, where you plant the seed and then Cyrus will water it and God will make it grow, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But you got to take care of the plantation. You can't just throw the seed in the ground and just be like, okay, well, any day now, that seed is going to become fruit, and I can sell that fruit to make money and do this all over again, multiple times over. It doesn't work like that. You got to take care of the plantation. And it says here, for those of you who sown, but you don't take care of the plantation, you are not going to have anything to reap. So when payday comes around, you're going to be over there looking stupid. But like, well, where's my share? You weren't there to take care of the plantation. What you waiting on? What you looking for, right? And so it says here, if you want to be successful, you can't just sow. Don't let it end there. You got to take care of the land. You got to take care of the property. You got to take care of the plantation, or else you're not going to have anything to reap. Jesus said, I believe it was Jesus that said, you don't go to the field and put your hand on the plow and turn away. No, it says when you come out to the field, you come out to work. When you come out to the field, you come out to get the job done. You put your hand on the plow because you are aiming to do the work. You couldn't put your hand on the plow because the plow is your tool to till the ground and make that ground suitable for that plant, for that seed to grow, right? It says you don't come and put your hand on the plow and then turn away and walk away. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to have anything to reap. Again, what we just read earlier, success is a process, and also it does not discriminate, and it's also the accumulation of your decisions. You are a slave to your decisions. Man, it's huge. All right. Those who sow but fail to take care of the plantation may not have anything to reap. The law of sowing also states that not all the seeds we plant will bear fruit. And that's why we should use as many seeds as possible and tend our garden well. Tend our garden well. Use as many seeds as possible. It says here that not every seed that you plant is going to be successful. Not everyone will bear fruit, right? It's just like, when it comes to investments, you want to diversify your money. You want to put out there, you want to get your money diversified into different instruments. Just because one thing goes down, you're not going to lose all your money. You're not going to put all your eggs in one basket, because that basket falls apart, and then what? You got nothing. Diversify your income, diversify your retirement, your investments, but also when it talks about your effort, when it comes to success, um, I would try my hand at multiple things, and try to get it all going. There's a saying that says, uh of what is it called? um Damn, it's right at the tip of my tongue. A jack of all trades, but a master of none. All right, see, that right there is discouragement. I guess what we're talking about right here, we're talking about, if you have a job, great. I would suggest having a business, and the business is where you're going to see the big money. Now, I'm not saying, quit your job. Get the business going first, and then quit the job. It'll allow you the the opportunity to walk away from the job and focus on the business and get even more money. And if you have a business, let's say you have a store, I wouldn't just sell, cheese and crackers. Put an arcade up, sell popcorn, get some milk there, some meat. Right, so do what you got, can to diversify. But don't just put all your eggs in. I'm just gonna sell cheese and crackers. No, it doesn't work like that. Get the variety, right? Offer more. So it says here, when it comes to sowing, um, plant as many seeds as possible and tend to your garden well. Sowing poorly will have no results. Sowing on shallow ground and not watering your seeds are technical mistakes that can ruin all your crops. Success is a combination of factors, right? We just talked about that. Sowing is one of them, but it isn't everything. See, there's a lot of people, what they do consistently in their life, you track their life backwards and you look at what they've done. They planted seeds here, here, and they just kept going sowing. So they became a sower and not the reaper, right? And it says here that you have to avoid those technical mistakes by watering the seeds, right? Making sure that it's not just sown on shallow ground, right? Sowing is one of the skills, one of the factors to success, but success is really a combination of factors. Sowing isn't everything. Remember the law of wisdom. Working is not enough. You need competence and intelligence to work well. You need the law of wisdom. The law of wisdom also teaches us that every sowing process involves some percentage of failure. Man, good to know. Good to know, guys. For those of you that have never failed, or for those of you that ever failed, I'm sorry, that's part of the journey to success. You got to have some kind of failure, right? If you got, like, let me tell you something. If you have a marriage and everything is just perfect, you know, uh, that marriage is not going to last long. You need some failures there. You need some. You need to make some mistakes. I'm not saying go out there and do, whatever. No, you you got to have some mistakes. You got to have some fights, and you got to go through the emotions, as an adult with your partner, and and grow through that. And if everything's hunky dory, you ain't never had an argument, I would seriously doubt if you have a relationship at all. That's but if you do have the perfect relationship, hey, God bless you. But you do learn through the success, and it's part of the process. It's part of teaching, learning how to do life. Every process of sowing involves some percentage of failure. It's our job to deal with those obstacles with persistence and resilience. Trying and failing are steps on the harder, I'm sorry, trying and failing are steps on the ladder to success. When we fail, we can learn from our mistakes and begin again in a more efficient way. See, we grow with our mistakes. Jesus warns us of this in his parable of the sower, Matthew chapter 13, verse 1 through 9, and also Mark chapter 4, verse 1 through 9. A farmer went out to sow his seed. Some of the seeds were eaten by birds, some fell in the shallow ground and were burned by the sun. Others were suffocated by the thorns or the weeds, but some fell in good soil, and they grew and bore much fruit. Sowing requires proper techniques and good ground. Some loss or failure is inherent in the process, but check this out. As time goes by, however, you will reap more due to your experience and personal and intellectual growth. So thank God that we have failures. Thank God for the storms, for the bad times, because that is where you learn, you become more experienced. And it says, because you become that experienced worker, as time goes by, you will learn how to reap more due to your experience and personal and intellectual growth. That makes so much sense. All right, so overlapping sowing. One of the reasons why the law of sowing may not work for you. Overlapped sowing. Why do some people sow seeds but do not reap the crops? Sometimes there is nothing wrong with the sowing itself. Sometimes there are other factors involved. It is not a simple equation. Your reaping will be influenced not only by what you sow, but by what others have sown before you and currently sowing. Now, this is not a situation where you can just blame it on somebody else why things are not working out for you. But what it's saying here is that you must take into consideration if there's ever a time where for some reason you've been sowing but not reaping in a certain area of your life, you got to be aware of the many facets of your life and just look around. Because if you don't think that your environment is affecting you, you're in for a rude awakening. You're delusional. You need to wake up and realize that your environment plays a big role in your success. Your environment plays a big role in whether or not you are able to reap. Trust me, I've learned this in business. I've learned this through ministry. I've learned this through leadership. I've learned this through being part of a family. Your environment will affect you in a major way, as it will affect a seed that is trying to germinate, a seed that is trying to sprout its roots into the ground and sprout its stem out into the air to start collecting and growing. Right. And it said, overlap sowing, there's outside factors of people that have sown before you or are currently sowing. You got to know what's going on. Our lives are affected not only by our sowing, but also by the sowing of our families, our cities, our countries, and our planet. If you sow good seed, but the city in which you live sows bad seed, it will be more difficult to reap good things and live well. If you know me on a personal level, you know that I'm very politically involved. I'm very politically outspoken, and not to put anybody else down. I'm done with all that part. I do want to get along with people. I do want to love on people and just have a really good conversation, and just have a decent conversation about policies, right? But um, this makes so much sense. There's times where our families kind of anchor us down and keep us from moving forward. Not saying that they're bad people. That's not what we're saying. It's just that when you have certain goals set up, there's times where family that you hang out with, that you choose to hang out with, and it's all our choices. They sometimes it does pay a toll. It affects our business. Our business suffers because of it. Again, that's probably not their intention, but there's things that you have to acknowledge, and there's things that you got to recognize, and really see it for what it is. If it's hurtful to your business, you need to take some time away from it until your business is in the position or is in the status of where you can now start taking time off and go kick it with your family while your business still brings in more money for you, right? Or your project or your group or your uh, whatever group you affiliate with can function without you, right? But you got to build it up to that status. You got to get it to that level first. And it says here, not only our family, but our cities and our countries, our planet, they all affect us, right? You sow seed, but the city in which you live sows bad seed. It will be more difficult to reap good things and live well. All right, I'm not saying that if you live in a bad neighborhood, you can't become wealthy. Of course not. Okay. I'm not saying that if you live in a bad neighborhood that you're never going to be a success. That's not what we're saying. But definitely the odds are against you, because as you are trying to plant good seeds in your society, as you're trying to plant good seeds in your family, as you're trying to plant good seeds in your own life, your outside environment directly affects you. There might be bad seeds that are being planted in your city. For those of us who are conservative, and if you live in a very liberal area, you will find that it's kind of hard to do certain things, um, because of the different outlooks, right? Now, again, not saying that anybody out there is a bad person for it. I mean, we all have our beliefs, so just know that you are directly affected by the city you live in. That's why there's a huge exodus going on from California to Texas. Well, that kind of slowed down with the weather, but business wise, long term looking, I mean, there's a lot of people that have figured it out. So, I need to get up out of California. It's just too expensive. The economy's not improving. The policies aren't right. And my business is not in a position to where it's going to thrive in this kind of environment. And so they just find it best that they move, or to Oklahoma. There's a big move going on there. What I'm saying is the area will affect you. Your environment will affect you. A good example is a political election. Again, politics right here. You may choose you may choose a decent candidate, and please, guys, I understand. Um, in this time, there's a lot of people that just don't want to hear about politics at all. Let me tell you something. Politics is meant for you and I to uh, elect people to govern us and help decide what's right for us. And Miles Monroe said, "You want me, a Christian, to not pay attention to politics? You're crazy. You're out of your mind. That would just be irresponsible, because even when I'm not here, my grandkids got to live here, and so, take that how you will, right? So, there's either way, there's good points that are being made here, guys. So, it says a good example is a political election. You may choose a decent candidate, but if the majority chooses an inept one, you and everyone else will have to deal with his lack of leadership skills. The results is each of us has to reap is influenced by the environment we live in. Someone who is very gifted can sow and fail to reap because of where he lives. Wow. While another who is less gifted but located, but he's a better located individual, can have a promising harvest. Take, for example, the U.S. Olympic team as an example. These athletes have more incentives to access better conditions for practice, and that is often reflected in the medal counts. Sometimes you have to deal with the problem, so you did not have to. That's awesome that he talked about the U.S. Olympics. I mean, America is always one of the top countries collecting medals. China's another big one. Russia's another one, and of course, the other vary depending on the sport you're talking about, or the what do you call them in the Olympics? The uh, not depending on what your competition is, for lack of the right word. But pretty much when it talks about the U.S. Olympic team, they have incentives to work. They have conditions for practice. They have a better place to go to, right? They got resources, and because they have the right resources, it shows up in their medal counts, the medals that they win. Right? So they win a lot because they have awesome facilities to train, to for everything, for them to practice, live, and just be worry free, and just so they can be focused on their craft, on their athleticism. on whatever skill set they have. If you think about Samoa, Samoa produces some of the best rugby players ever, right? Or at least if you're a hard hitter, kind of rugby player, well, we develop a lot. We got a couple finesse players too, but Samoa is a great uh, example, right? I don't know if you saw that video of YouTube where someone went down there to the training facility of Manu Samoa's team, and they went down there to the training facility to see how they were living, how everything was set up for them, for those boys to train and play rugby on an international level, and that because of corruption, the money that was supposed to be raised for these athletes for them to practice and have a facility to go and work on themselves, they weren't getting that funding. That funding went to somebody's pocket, went to somebody's belly. All right, and so because of that, I mean, Samoa should be world champs multiple times over. If they had the right trainings, if they had the right training facility, if they have, the money that was given to them, so they can start focusing on their practicing instead of paying bills for their families, they would thrive. Right? Yeah, just my opinion. There's also a great documentary about football. I mean, Samoa puts out more NFL players per capita. This was mentioned, recent. This is a known fact, but it was mentioned also recently in the Joe Rogan pod. No, not Joe Rogan. Why did I say him? Um, Steven Crowder podcast. He mentioned, American Samoa and how a lot of NFL players come out of that country or that state, right? And but if you look at their facilities and how they train, I mean, they got nothing. But if they were to have more, money to take care of these players and their families so that they can focus more on the game, oh man, game changing stuff, game changing stuff. So it says here, hunger. Sometimes you have to deal with problems that you did not create or reap something that you did not plant. Hunger, violence, in decades, even centuries, even um, a person a person's good or bad actions will have repercussions on others, but for we are all connected, right? Remember, we are all part of the same body. The prophet Jeremiah writes to the Jews, taken as slaves and sent to Babylon, these words from God. It says here, seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray for the Lord. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, that city, right? If it prospers, you too will prosper. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 7. The law of sowing says that what happens today can be a result of the seeds that we have been sown throughout history, right? Complaining is pointless. The spiritual law is a matter of cause and effect, and a reality that collectively affects us all. If any of you are affected in a negative way regarding politics, I would recommend reading what we just read here, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 7. Right? And so, what to do then if we have those situations to where we're sowing seeds and that we're not reaping? What do you do then? It says here, to turn from evil and do good, then you will dwell in the land forever. Psalms, King David chapter 37, verse 27. Individually and as a society, we need to stop sowing bad things and start sowing good things, and stand our ground until the evil that was sown in the past gives way to good. This might take a while. So just so you know, a lot of evil has been planted in this land of America, or or especially in America. That's all I know. But we gotta start planting the right things. Stop planting the sowing the bad seeds, right? And then we start changing it, right? And it says that it's going to take a while, right? But good news, we can change this up, right? Um, we need to sow goodness, and we must do it well and consistently. We cannot just take out the weeds. We need to sow generously, not just sparingly. Remember this. It says here, remember this: whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. According to 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6. We need to properly care. We're coming to the last stretch of the last page of this book, guys, a chapter. We need to properly care for our gardens and convince our neighbors to do the same for theirs. After all, bad seeds can blow in and take root. Actively care for your community, for your country, and for your planet, because, like it or not, you are part of something larger than yourself, and you will be affected by other people's actions. We are all part of the same body, guys. Sow what you want to reap in the future. Remember, those that sow corn will not harvest peas or rice or soybeans. Those who sow corn will not reap peas, rice, or soybeans. The relation of the cause and effect is undeniable. If you want something, sow that seed into it, into the ground, right? Sow that seed, and you will reap exactly what you sow for. So when you pray, you ask God, ask directly, ask, with this, with detail, what is it that you want? And it says here, the relation of cause and effect is undeniable. We must plant properly. You will enjoy a good harvest. Through difficulties, though difficulties may arise, life is better for you than those who do nothing or sow bad seeds. Wow. So after you sow, you're going to face difficulties, right? But just because you have difficulties, it says that life will be better for you than those who do nothing. They don't sow nothing at all, and they sow bad seeds, which again, you get nothing at all. This book was written with the certainty that if you sow wisdom, work, values, relationships, and personal growth, and you will reap better things for your life. People who sow will certainly reap more than those who dare not even dream or act. Confirmation why I got to keep on with this reading, guys. Sometimes I just get too tired, or sometimes I'm just like, I can skip a couple days. And forgive me for doing that. That's not my intent. I don't want to do it like that. I want to do a chapter every day. But it says here that those who sow will certainly reap more than those who dare not even dream or act. So if you're not sowing, you're not dreaming. You're definitely not acting. You're not taking a step towards what you really want. But if you sow and you fail, you're going to have more than those who do nothing at all. Listen, guys, I dream of having an awesome podcast that is well known, that I can make an impact like you wouldn't believe, and that my reach can go further out into the world through this podcast, through my voice, through this microphone, and into your ears. My dream is that I can, make the world a more positive place, a more profitable place, that I can make an impact on people, help people to believe in what they never thought possible, and help empower people by the things that I learned along the journey. But it says that even if I fail at this, it says those of you that sow and fail will certainly have more. You're still gonna reap more than those who dare not even dream or act. I feel bad for those people. I feel bad. At least give it a shot. Do something. Make some action towards your goal, right? But it says that we can and should sow with those around us. Teamwork increases the chances of success. If we do that and behave with discipline, intelligence, and integrity, we will be taking full advantage of the law of sowing. By sowing good seeds and tending to the soil, you will enjoy a plentiful harvest. Finishing off, it says, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Luke chapter 6, verse 37 and 38. What a chapter, guys. The Law of Sowing. It was a long chapter, but I'm so glad. Look, we're exactly an hour and 1 minute into this podcast. Man, guys, be responsible for what you sow. You will reap what you sow. Never forget that. Success is a process. If you've sown and you've gotten your blessing right away, man, I'm happy for you. If you've sown and it's taken a while, I want to encourage you. For those of you who have sown and you're still not seeing the benefits, you're still looking for your blessing. You're still looking for the reaping. So the reaping. Remember, keep working the ground. Take care of the plantation until it's harvest time. Keep it up, guys. I'm telling you, your time is coming. And when that time comes and it's time for you to take the harvest, the joy that's going to fill you up will be worth the hardship, will be worth the heartache that you've dealt with all that time, that you've been waiting for the right time to go and receive your blessing. Don't rush it. A lot of people get impatient and they want to rush it. And they say, I want it now, God. I want it now. I want it now. Um, I hate to break it to you guys, but God's blessing is according to his timing, and if God feels you're ready for it, he's going to bless you when you're ready for it. And when it's according to his time, when he's ready to give it to you, it's going to come. Don't rush it. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. And just be aware of your surroundings, guys. Um, if there's things that you're praying for, your environment plays a big role. It really does. And for those that are, that just, I don't know, maybe you felt like you're hurt because you've been sowing, and nothing's been working out. Just know that there's sometimes where seeds they don't provide the fruit, but that doesn't mean you're not blessed. That doesn't mean you're not a blessing. Doesn't mean you have a blessed life. That doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. That's not what that means. All right, you are going to be blessed in many ways. Keep sowing. Your reaping will come back to you in multiples. Multiples. All right. And I pray that any part of it, whatever's covered here today, I know it's a long one and I went a little slow. I just wanted to make sure that the information came across the right way. And I did, put in a lot of extras here, but I just feel like I need to put out more content here and continue speaking to y'all to help be a voice of reason, and I'm dealing with a lot with this reading here because of whatever situations. None of it matters, and I don't focus on that. I just focus on what I'm sowing, right? And so I hope that the time that I'm putting into this will make an impact on somebody out there. I'm starting to really love the readings, reading books, becoming better, learning, being reminded of what's there for me to learn in the Bible. And these two last chapters talked about how this is relative to the Word of God, what we're learning here today. So many Bible verses to back it up, but this is the Word of God for you to be successful. That doesn't always mean money. That means family. That means time, health. There's a lot that goes to it. Your marriage. I'm just so blessed, and it's a bittersweet time to finish off that chapter. We do have a few more to go. I don't know what he's going to cover because it doesn't say the laws of this or that. It's going to actually, let me give you a rundown. Part 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll be done in a week. Chapter 32. So we all covered the laws. Now we're going to cover the sins against success. Excuse me. I shouldn't be doing that on the camera. But what a way to end the day. If you're watching this, guys, let me just tell you a couple things. I was going to make another video to do this, but we're going to do something major here. We're going to do something major. The page is growing, and the influence is growing, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it, guys. I'm emotional reading this book in a good way, though. I'm happy. I'm very happy to be learning this. A lot of situations running through my mind about things I got to take care of. And I do hope that you're being affected by it. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share this video, share my page, um, to reach out to those there's people out there that need to learn about this stuff. If there's somebody out there, in fact, I challenge you, if it comes across your page, please do it. Uh, Send it to a few people. All right, let's get this thing growing. All right, love you guys. I can't wait to see what's in store with these last 7 chapters. I haven't read them yet. Never have, and probably am going to do this book again years down the line. But it was either way, it's a fun journey. Thank y'all for being here. God bless you all, and I'll see you.